Hey gang, Shazada here today. So it's a quick video in regards to what you need to do when you get your new device. First of all, I would highly recommend using keyboard and mouse, and then use the default Windows Explorer or like a Windows experience, not the not the Xbox experience. Use a Windows experience. So that should help you a lot, make your life a bit easier. First thing you'll need to do is come here, update in Armoury Crate. That's the first bit. When that is done, you need to come here. You need to go to your settings, do the Windows updates. That's the second bit. When that is done, you need to come to App Store. So from here, you need to do the updates from here. So in the library and downloads, just check if there's anything you're missing. So run that and that. So now 3 bits, 4th bit. When everything is done, come here to My Asus app and do check, because sometimes, like in my instance, it had like a newer version of Armoury Crate available while it wasn't showing up in the Armoury Crate itself. So you can check here. So these are the 4 places you might want to do updates. Okay. So and then after this is done, the second bit, we are doing all the steps which you will need to do before restarting. The other bits you can do it afterwards, right? So because if you make these changes, you will have to restart anyway. So I want you to do it in one go, so that way when you restart, you just do it in one time. You don't have to do like 10 times again and again and again. So memory isolation, core isolation, gotta untick that. Type Windows feature on and off. Do this, make sure virtual machine platform, that's off. Most of the time now on the newer devices I've seen it's already not enabled. Just in case it is, this turn it off. Now come to settings, like you can go to display settings, and in the image scaling what you can do is you gotta make sure it is like 125. You can select, you have selected that. You can use between 100 to 125. You can even use 150, but I would say use 125. It will make your Windows experience much better. Okay, so we have done few things though. Like this one, you can do it afterwards. It doesn't require restart, but I'll say that. Another thing though, which is really important. So we're gonna go to Armoury Crate. We have already done all the updates, everything's like that. We're gonna come here to, I think it's called, Performance tab. So from here, you can do is like, first you can do is like optimize bit, right? Change this to 10 gigs. I'm not gonna do now because it will restart my device. So because this has 16 gigs of RAM, sorry, not 16 gigs, 24 gigs. And because we are, even if you're not using the Xbox experience, to be honest though, okay, I'll talk about that in another video. Anyways, you can use between 8 to 10 gigs. 8 is more than enough. Like even if when you're using 10 gigs, there are not that many games which will be using 10 gigs of your RAM. So, but you can dedicate it 10 gigs. And so just in those cases where you might think like, oh, you know, some games are not running, that should help you a lot. Okay. So what is the other bit we're gonna do? So now we have done this. So when you do the 10 gigs, it will ask you to reboot your device. If you haven't, then it won't. Now, next bit, we're gonna come back here. You can do the optimize all as well, but then you can play with it later on. So let's say if we do like optimize here, then you can play in different settings, and we're gonna talk about that later on. Okay, so other thing is you need to do is calibration. So make sure all the buttons, sticks, everything is calibrated, right? That should like make your life a bit easier as well. Now, I kind of like and hate the new Armoury Crate. Reason being, so you can add a lot of more features now compared to the previous ones, but it is buggy as hell. We'll talk about that in another video. Because there's like a lot of problems with this. This is not cooked. This version of the Armoury Crate or the Windows is just buggy as hell. So anyways, so we're gonna customize that. You can customize it for your needs. So for me, the first two are more important ones because This is the one where you're switching between different power, the power modes. So if you're using between 7 in one, you're using 25 or 35, because I would recommend, because I usually use a higher fan curve. So even if you're using the default mode, if you're using just create your own ones, your device will run much better. Okay. The second tab is for resolution. And here you can leave it here or you can leave it here. That's up to you. But so what I've done is like all the image scaling platforms or sharpening ones, all the tabs are selected in one row. So for me, end task, it is quite necessary because a lot of times something gets frozen on this, so you need that. Then refresh rate, because we don't use it that much. CPU boost, by default, I would say leave the CPU boost off. But so like in the performance here, yeah, it's in eco settings. So you see like performance boost here. CPU boost. I would say leave it off, but add the option there, just in case you want to use it with some game. Most of the time you won't need to though, and your games will run much more smoother and it will run less hotter. So yeah. Then you have game profiles, airplane mode. Airplane mode is here as well, so you don't need to. Embedded controller, you can enable and disable here as well. So you can customize it more to your needs. So this is the way I've set it up, because these are the top ones I do use. Like sometimes the keyboard is not working, so you can just press the shortcut and it will bring the keyboard. The monitor, that is you do need. So image, this one is like a double one. I'm gonna update that as well later on, so you don't need to have it top and bottom. But yeah, anyways, so this is the way I've set up. You can customize it to your needs. Another thing, so at the bottom you see like the battery care. We're gonna go to battery care. Make sure to leave this one on, which is it. What it does is it charge your device to 80%, and then it won't charge. So even if it's plugged in, it's gonna leave at that. So you see, like earlier I was saying it wasn't charging, but then now you can see it's charging. So I would say like this for the longevity of your battery, it's quite decent for your battery health. So I'll say like leave this on. Okay, so another thing you can do though. So come here, go to Steam, go to settings. So one, it's like you can use the big picture mode. I would recommend it using that. Then there is another option I would recommend for you, which is come to interface, scroll down, untick this, which is notify me about additional or changes to my game opinion, to my games, and blah 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 blah. I hate that. It's really annoying. Every time you open up a Steam, it opens up that window like saying, hey, this new game is available, there's prices and blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't want that. So you can use that. There is another option, another thing though. Come to here, we're gonna go to the settings, display. So there's a very bright thingy, right? So this is, I haven't tested it, but from what I've seen from the other people, it is like when you're using on battery mode, the image, because it's trying to brighten up the color, it's like, you know, you have on your phone, you have the dynamic contrast. It is like that, but worse, right? So like you usually do not use dynamic contrast because it just pops off everything. So it just like ends up looking really bad. It's like that, so don't use it. So these are the pretty much basic things I would say like do at this first setup of your Ally. Fingerprint scanner, I would say do it afterwards, because sometimes what I've seen when you're doing core isolation, it has gotten much better now, where it used to, like when you do core isolation and you disable memory integrity, it would forget your pin code and then also your fingerprint. Now it doesn't do that, but sometimes it still goes a bit weird. So keep an eye on that. So I would say like fingerprint scanner, do it afterwards, right? So you can add 1 or 2. So these are the basic settings I would recommend to everybody. As I said, I already showed you the same big screen because it will give you like a better experience. for me, I still like one thing I kind of hate, which is like if you go to here, you can't add more launchers by yourself. This is a needed like option because we use Heroic Launcher, we use Play Night. We want to add more, like if you have retro, so like for emulation, retro, you can, so it at least give us the ability. It's not that complicated. So and then it obviously I can understand from that point that these are sort of integrated extensions with, and then because if they're all working properly, if you're looking at your Xbox, that will have all the sort of games listed. But at least give us the option, though, even if it's not like connected. When we have the quick option from the home screen on the the full experience page, it will make our life a bit easier, so we don't need to go that frequently, jump between the full screen experience and things like that, and fall back to the Xbox experience. Okay, so these are the default settings. I would highly recommend everybody using that. If you do have any questions, do let me know. Take care, have a good day, bye bye.